Picture this. You spend years, maybe your whole life, trying to squeeze into a mold. Chasing applause. Bending and breaking yourself to fit standards you never chose. You measure your worth in compliments, dodge criticism like landmines, and live on edge, wondering if you're ever enough. But what if the very thing you think you need, the approval, the control, the constant effort, is actually what's been holding you back? What if real peace, real confidence, real success starts when you let go? Michel de Montaigne, a French philosopher way ahead of his time, saw this paradox for what it was. Through his essays, he quietly dropped truths about freedom, self-acceptance, and what it means to live without carrying the weight of everyone else's expectations. He questioned everything: who we are, what we value, why we try so hard to be someone. And his insight? When you stop living for applause, that's when everything clicks. So let's be honest for a sec. How much of your stress comes from chasing goals that were never even yours? How many times have you bit your tongue out of fear of being misunderstood? How much energy do you spend spinning in circles, worrying about things that won't even matter next week? Montaigne's philosophy offers a powerful reminder: the more pressure you shed, the more you step into who you really are. He didn't buy into the myth of perfection. He embraced life's messiness. For him, true wisdom wasn't about mastering the world, it was about understanding yourself and flowing with what is, instead of fighting it. Now, here's where people get confused: letting go doesn't mean giving up. It's not about indifference. It's not about checking out of life. It's about dropping the wrong weight. It's about letting go of the obsession with being impressive, of the fear of not being enough, of the mental gymnastics we do just to seem okay. It's about showing up as you are, living without the performance, and realizing you owe no one an explanation for being yourself. Montaigne noticed something we're still grappling with today: most of us are trapped in our own minds, caught in loops of doubt and anxiety, playing out expectations like scripts we never agreed to. But what if you paused? What if you stopped chasing the illusion of perfection? What if you stopped begging for approval and started listening to your own voice? What if you stopped gripping so tightly and let life move through you? Here's the twist: the less you try to prove something, the more you radiate power. Think of the most magnetic people you know. Are they the ones trying the hardest to fit in? Or are they the ones who walk into a room owning exactly who they are? That's what letting go does. It makes you lighter, calmer, stronger. And Montaigne saw it centuries ago, long before therapy apps and self-help information. When you stop seeking validation, you stop shrinking. When you start trusting yourself, you grow roots. When you let go, life meets you where you are. And the wild part? Letting go doesn't just bring peace, it actually elevates your life. Your relationships get deeper. Opportunities find their way to you. Decisions get simpler, because now, they're yours. So much of our pain comes from resisting the truth. Trying to control everything, shape-shifting to please, pushing against reality. But when you loosen the grip, when you stop fighting what is, the magic starts to happen. Be real with yourself. How often have you stayed small to avoid being judged? How many times have you replayed a moment, worried you said the wrong thing? How much of your story has been written by fear? And here's the surprising part: letting go doesn't create distance, it creates connection. When you're not clinging for attention, people start paying attention. When you're not afraid of being rejected, you open the door to love. When you stop controlling everything, you start creating space for yourself and for others. Because now, you're no longer reacting. You're just being. And there's nothing more powerful than that. That's the quiet strength Montaigne offered. Letting go isn't running away. It's realignment with your values, your peace, your power. Letting go isn't weakness, it's clarity. It's knowing what matters and what never did. So here's your invitation. What are you still gripping that no longer serves you? What fears, old beliefs, or expectations are you ready to drop? What would your life look like if you stopped holding on? Because here's the truth, plain and simple, you don't need to control everything to be okay. You don't need to prove anything to be worthy. You don't need permission to live freely. The second you stop caring about the wrong things, the right things start to fall into place. Valor is stability, not of legs and arms, but of courage and the soul. Friendship, on the contrary, is enjoyed in proportion to our desire, since it is a matter of the mind, with our souls being purified by practicing it. There is nothing more unsociable than man, and nothing more sociable, unsociable by his vice, sociable by his nature. At the heart of Montaigne's thinking is a simple but powerful idea: know yourself. He believed that the key to wisdom isn't pretending to be perfect, but being honest about who we are. He admitted his flaws, fears, and doubts openly, something not many people in his time, or ours, were brave enough to do. But Montaigne showed that accepting ourselves, with all our quirks and imperfections, is a strength, not a weakness. In everyday life, that means being kinder to ourselves when we make mistakes, and more understanding when others do too. Montaigne also taught that life is for living, not just for planning, worrying, or chasing perfection. He encouraged people to enjoy simple pleasures: a good meal, a quiet walk, a thoughtful conversation. In a world that often pushes us to rush and compete, Montaigne's message is a breath of fresh air: slow down, savor the moment, and find meaning in the little things. For families, that might look like a shared dinner without phones, or a game night where laughter matters more than who wins. Another important idea Montaigne championed was open-mindedness. He believed that we learn best when we're humble enough to listen. Whether we're talking to someone from another culture, or someone who simply sees things differently, Montaigne urged us to stay curious rather than judgmental. Imagine how much smoother family conversations, and even debates, could be if we all practiced listening a little more and arguing a little less. He also had something to say about fear, or especially the fear of death. Montaigne believed that fearing death only steals joy from life. He didn't say we should ignore it, but rather accept it as part of being alive. When we come to terms with our limits, we often appreciate our time, and each other, more deeply. In that way, his thinking nudges us toward gratitude. And perhaps Montaigne's greatest lesson is this: be human. He reminded us that we're not machines or angels. We laugh, cry, fall down, get back up. Instead of hiding our humanity, Montaigne taught us to embrace it. His philosophy doesn't demand we become wise sages overnight. It simply invites us to be honest, reflective, and compassionate every day. So, next time you're feeling overwhelmed or unsure, remember Montaigne. Take a deep breath, accept your humanness, and try to walk through life with curiosity, kindness, and a little more ease. A man is not hurt so much by what happens, as by his opinion of what happens. The value of life lies not in the length of days, but in the use we make of them. Experience has taught me this, that we undo ourselves by impatience. Misfortunes have their life and their limits, their sickness and their health. The most certain sign of wisdom is cheerfulness. On the highest throne in the world, we still sit only on our own bottom. The greatest thing in the world is to know how to belong to oneself. I do not care so much what I am to others as I care what I am to myself. Nothing fixes a thing so intensely in the memory as the wish to forget it. Learned we may be with another man's learning, we can only be wise with wisdom of our own. If there is such a thing as a good marriage, it is because it resembles friendship rather than love. My life has been filled with terrible misfortune, most of which never happened. All we do is to look after the opinions and learning of others. We ought to make them our own.